Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Michael Newman.
I'm Ryan Newman.
And I'm Trey Newman.
On today's episode, we are discussing teams, coaches, and players who have a lot of pressure on them coming up in the 2023 season. So, Trey, get us started. This is a big year for who?
I'm going to start out with Jimbo Fisher. I think this is probably an obvious one here. He clearly needs a good season or could lose his job, even though, he'd still probably collect a boatload of money if that were to happen. But the Aggies, they went a disappointing 5-7 last year. They had a really bad offense, lost a bunch of players to the transfer portal from that, and they had that historic recruiting class that's kind of been, almost, wiped out semi. The offseason barbs with Saban a year ago just isn't helping his image either. So the last 2 years, they haven't finished in the top 25. But if you've watched us or listened to us recently, you've kind of heard me mention that I'm cautiously optimistic with the Aggies this year. One, because the defense should be outstanding. And then number two, of course, they hired Bobby Petrino to be their offensive coordinator. So I really hope he gives the keys to Petrino to fully run that offense because, he is proven to be one of the better offensive coaches out there. And really, despite the exodus of the talent, most of the key contributors and returning production is coming back. They still have a lot of talent. They got Evan Stewart at receiver. Connor Wigman needs to really step up at quarterback play because that's what's been hindering them. They only scored. They were 101st in scoring last year. So, and Max Johnson could also win the job. But either way, a lot rests on Jimbo and Petrino for that offense to take shape.
Yeah, they're going to be one of the more interesting teams to watch because plenty of talent. Like even they've the talent is there and the pressure's on. I'm sticking with the SEC, and this is a big year for Billy Napier at Florida. Only year two, and I've mentioned this on this podcast before. I was very high on the hire of Napier, but year one did not go well. They went 6-7. They really didn't improve much at all from Dan Mullen's terrible last season. And on top of that, they had that embarrassing recruiting saga with Jaden Rashada. And maybe Billy Napier not at all to blame, but it was just a bad look for the program. So he needs some positive momentum in year two. And I think that can come either on the recruiting trail or, with wins and losses. Like if he has an elite class that's kind of that he's able to sign, then he might be able to survive kind of a mediocre season. But if not, if it's just kind of status quo with recruiting, then I think he's going to have to really outperform that win total because the season win total is set at 5.5, which they're not even projected to be like that bad of a team. It's just that the schedule is brutal, third toughest schedule in the country per FPI. So yeah, I think maybe needs to go 7-5 or a really good recruiting class, maybe both, just to kind of get the ball rolling there.
Yeah, quickly did not go very well there for Napier. Its honeymoon did not last at all.
I will say the recruiting class for 2024, though, is off to a really good start. I think they already have 4 5-star commitments. So if he can show something on the field, then maybe
4 5-stars. You're finishing top 10. I mean,
easy. Yeah. If they keep it going.
Yep. All right, moving on here. I am going to go with Mel Tucker at Michigan State. He's going to be entering his 4th season there. Up and down so far for him. 2 out of the first 3 years just haven't been good. 2-5 in the first COVID year. You kind of forgive that. Then 11-2 magical season in 2021, followed by last year's disappointment, which was 5-7. The recruiting's been good, so that's been positive. He finished 4th. In the Big Ten, each of the last 2 recruiting cycles for the 2022 and 2023 class, which is fantastic for them. They are off to a pretty slow start for the 24 class. They only have a few commitments, but still early in the game for that. But I think that is part of the reason, though, like why he needs a good year on the field in 2023. Another bad year would be 2 bad years in a row and then 3 out of the 4 years. So kind of more of a trend and just making that 11-win season just kind of look like a Dino Babers type at Syracuse. Like it's just kind of lucky and not really indicative of who Mel Tucker's going to be going forward. So he's got a huge contract remaining still. There's a lot of money left out for him, over $80 million. So It could be in a real rough spot, like if he does not have a good year. Like Michigan State's going to be, I don't know what they do. I mean, they got to keep him. They can't fire him this soon, even if he has another bad year. Their season win total, you guys, it's 5.5. That's not good. They're not expected to be very good. So, but if you can surprise just a little bit, if they can get to like 7, all will be okay. I think everybody will be fine and happy, kind of happy with that. And you can kind of regain some of that positive momentum and hopefully, recruit kind of solid like he has been. But it could end badly here pretty quick if he doesn't have a good year.
Yep. All right, moving on. The next, in this case, guy that needs to have a big year, it's a big year for Alex Grinch, USC's defensive coordinator. I know the narrative, it's always kind of become a thing to always say, what about the defense when it comes to Lincoln Riley teams? But, even without those marquee defenses, his offenses have masked a lot of the defensive woes and still produced very, very good overall team success. And similarly, going into 2023, we know the offense should be outstanding. Of course, reigning Heisman winner Caleb Williams comes back. Now it's time for Alex Grinch's D to step up. Lots of pressure on him this year because, even though it was only 1 year, you could have already made a case to replace him after that first year. It was really bad. Because if you watched last year's SC team, I know they kind of flipped the roster, but you knew that the team was really good, but they weren't great because of that poor defense. They got gouged in the Pac-12 title. Same with the Cotton Bowl against Tulane. Finished 87th in SP plus defense. Like you don't even have with their offense, you don't have to be an elite defense. You just got to be, average to good to really help them. So now the Trojans, they added a lot of pieces this offseason to help, especially in the portal. Mason Cobb, Oklahoma State linebacker. He had 96 tackles last year. They got a big 5-star big boy, Bear Alexander on the line from Georgia. They got some other guys too. And the point is too, when you're looking at SC and their schedule, the back half of their schedule, they're facing some really strong offenses: Utah, Washington, Oregon, maybe even UCLA. So Grinch's defense better find its stride early to kind of, have some success later in the year for the Trojans to have the year they want.
Yeah, there's no excuses for him this year. Defense has to be a lot better. Okay, moving on to a team. I'm going to say that this is a big year for Clemson. And so they've been the dominant program in the ACC for like a decade, but that could be changing. Florida State is on the rise. And I know it seems early to say that. It's like, okay, 1 10-win season for Florida State, and suddenly we're talking about them, taking the mantle. But things change quickly in college football, and Clemson has had, a couple of, by their standards, down years. But I mean, it's been a significant drop from where they were. They've had 2 straight seasons finishing outside the top 10, 2 straight 3-loss seasons. The offense in particular has just been nowhere near at a national championship level. So now Sweeney bringing in Garrett Riley, is he going to turn around the offense quickly? And is Clemson going to beat Florida State and sort of reverse the positive momentum that the Seminoles have and kind of, reverse Clemson's own negative momentum and just kind of swing things? Or, is it going to be, they're going to go down to Florida State, lose 3 or 4 games, and boom. Yeah. I mean, it might be FSU's conference for the
changing of
future.
The guard.
I mean, that's maybe hyperbole, but I could see it happening.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to their offense. Is one of the things one of the top things I'm looking forward to this year. Just how's it going to work? Finally bringing in somebody else from outside the program, and it'll be intriguing, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
it's the right decision. You had to do it.
No, it was a great hire. I mean, but you kind of set the team back with the previous decision to promote from within at offensive coordinator.
Exactly.
So that cost him a year.
Yep, exactly. All right, moving on to the next one here for me. Going to another Orange team. The team they played each other in the Orange Bowl last year. We have Tennessee and Josh Heupel. Really, I think he needs to have a big year.
Yeah, he's just down in the dumps right now.
Right,
he really could use something good. Needs to happen.
That seat is hot.
Okay, well, hear me out. It's a different type of needs to have a good year. So listen, we've seen a lot of coaches in the past, have early success at their coaching spots, so and then everybody jumps on the bandwagon. It's like, oh yeah, we're good, we're flying high, he's going to take us to the promised land, only for it to just come to a screeching halt. Heck, even Tennessee in the past, Jeremy Pruitt had people excited for a hot minute. There was some finished well one season, they were recruiting well at the first time, and then that came to a screeching halt. But so anyways, I thought about this just for like a few minutes this afternoon. I was getting ready for this. I'm like, I just try to come up with a few coaches where it's just like really a good hot start and then crash and burn. Well, so far, so coaches like right now, Dave Aranda had a disappointing year. Like he had won that Big 12 and then boom, bad year. Mel Tucker, just talked about him. Tom Herman at Texas didn't finish all that great. He started off, second year was great. Mike Riley, Nebraska, had a 9-win season, and everybody was like, oh, okay. And then he had some recruiting success. Brady Hoke at Michigan, Mark Richt at Miami, Bill Callahan, Nebraska, Gene Chizik at Orgeron. It just can turn really, really fast. Whereas like you think maybe, okay, these coaches are going to be here for a while, but most coaches don't last 5 years or more than, at a program. But that's kind of why I think this is the big year, big third year for Heupel, because if he can kind of follow up that 11-win season with another double-digit win season and kind of replicate that, and it'll be multiple quarterbacks, that'll have done it under, then it convinces me like, okay, Heupel's actually pretty legit. Their recruiting's great, and he can kind of win regardless of who's the quarterback. And he's actually going to be at Tennessee a long time, and Tennessee's going to be the Tennessee of old, kind of. So anybody can come up and have one good year, but can you continue the program? So that's why I want Heupel to show me like he can be that guy.
He's not that guy.
He's not that guy.
No, that is you had a good explanation, so it does make some sense.
Like their win total is 9.5, so the opportunity is definitely there. Wouldn't even be that crazy not crazy at all for them to get 10, but it's challenging to kind of keep it going.
Yep. All right. I'll move on to, I think it's a big year for kind of in part Penn State, but in particular, Drew Allar. It's not absolutely do or die here for anyone. But I think it's big nonetheless. Like I know James Franklin's job is not on the line. He's safe, but I'm looking at this from the point of view, a few years ago, Ohio State was the clear top dog in the Big Ten. Then Michigan the last couple years has joined them. And now you kind of have Penn State, sitting behind, and you don't want that gap between them to widen. And I think they really actually could potentially close that gap this year. A lot of the success is going to come down to the quarterback play of Drew Allar, 5-star, highly regarded, got a little bit of playing time last year. And now he gets the keys to the offense with Sean Clifford leaving, and Sean Clifford, he wasn't awful. Like he was kind of polarizing out there in the college football landscape. Like he wasn't awful. In fact, pretty decent last year, but he had a knack for making just some back-breaking play or two in big games throughout his career. That, even as a neutral fan, it was kind of like cringeworthy. I can't even imagine being a Penn State fan watching some of those. Because if you look last year, great year as a team, won the Rose Bowl, I think 11 wins, but the two losses they had against Michigan, Clifford went 7 for 19, 120 yards. Against Ohio State, he had 4 turnovers, including a pick 6. Like you can't do that. So they need Allar to, elevate the quarterback play in order to kind of narrow that gap with Ohio State and Michigan. And I think if he does just even a little bit, they're set up pretty well because they've got one of the best running back duos in the country, Nick Singleton, Katron Allen. The defense could be the best in the Big Ten. Abdul Carter is like the next Micah Parsons at linebacker. Kalen King is a stud in the secondary. So I really, really like the Nittany Lions if Allar can live up to, his 5-star billing.
Yep. Agreed there. Okay. I can't believe we've come this far in the episode. We haven't mentioned a coach who has just a very clear, there's no gray area here. We know exactly what he needs to do. And there's pressure because of that. Brian Ferentz, Iowa's offensive coordinator, his contract will be terminated if he does not score, not him personally, but if Iowa does not score 25 points per game and the team wins 7 games. So pretty sure Phil Parker is going to take care of the defensive side of the ball. So if the offense is scoring, that's a great thought. Like how correlated are those two? If Iowa's scoring 25 points per game, you can almost guarantee
they're
that they're going to
definitely
win
winning
7
7.
games.
Yeah.
Unless
they're
they
good
just,
schedule.
on the easiest games on their schedule, they're really just, running hurry up just to try and get as many points as they can and just rack it up. But yeah, so last year they averaged 17.7 points per game, and that includes, a good amount of help from the defense. So
Yeah.
you never know if you're going to get that again as far as them scoring. But yeah, so we'll see if he can get to 25. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I know. I don't think he's going to do it.
I've something
think
about
so.
it. The fact that it's like a goal out there just
black
makes
and
me
white.
think that they're going to get him there. But here's the thing: the offense will be a lot better, I think, because they added Cade McNamara, of course, transfer quarterback from Michigan. Eric All, the tight end from Michigan. They added what's the name of the Ohio State receiver transfer? Caleb Brown. So
I mean, they're definitely going to be better, but they got to be quite a bit better to jump
They
that
do.
much.
They do.
So I'm not sure I'm going to say like they average like 23.5.
I'll just be curious, like how stubborn he is with his system. Like if he's gonna kind of open it up just to.
He's gonna have to. He's gonna.
I know he does. But like so you watch some of his press conferences and he's like, I'm just gonna,
do what I do.
Not gonna change much. So
yeah.
I also kind of don't believe that, because I revisited all these articles that just talk about okay, so if he doesn't reach both of these goals, really he's just done, and that's what's said. The contract is terminated. But couldn't they what if they average 24 points per game and they go 10-2?
Yeah,
I mean that would be hard to do, but really they're not going to bring him back. I don't know, but that's what the contract says. So
a deal's a deal. No.
I guess so.
Yeah. No, that one will be very interesting to follow all year.
It will.
That's going to be fun.
They're at 24.5 going into game 12. Oh,
yeah,
against Nebraska.
Now, and they gotta, in the non-conference, or at least they got a couple easy ones. Man. Yeah, you can't be at 25 points per game in those games.
Going into the Big Ten,
Utah States and Western Michigans.
No, yeah, it's so weird to have it be like this. Can't recall any history like this.
I don't remember anything like that.
I'm not really cheering against him, but it would be kind of interesting to see what happens if
I want it to be close.
That's what I want. I know. I want it to be close. Let's see what they do in the last game if it comes to it.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh man, if it comes down to a field goal, the kicker's got to make it for his job.
Poor guy. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go to Quinn Ewers at Texas, quarterback. The Longhorns, they have a chance to do something special this year and kind of get back into the upper echelon of programs nationally, but just so much of it rides on Quinn Ewers' shoulders. That he's going to have a very good supporting cast around him. The defense should be solid, but for them to truly take off as a program and as a team, the QB position needs to be great, and it just hasn't been. He showed flashes last year as a redshirt freshman. He had 15 touchdowns, 6 picks, but 58% completion percentage. And there was times where it was pretty inconsistent. It definitely was not, elite level play. So going into his second year of on-field action, he's got to make a jump. I mean, this is the year for him. If he does not make a jump, then he will not be finishing his career as a Texas Longhorn. And he probably won't finish the season as the quarterback. We'll probably see, Malik Murphy or Arch Manning get a shot. So their win total set at 9.5. And they're the preseason favorites to win the Big 12. So, it's a lot of pressure on him, man. It really is. He's got to be feeling it, but I'm rooting for him. I want him to do well. It'd be kind of fun to see, finally see Texas get back to it, and especially before they head off to the SEC.
And there's the pressure for him too, because there's a lot of money on the line, right? Like if he has a good year, he's going first round. If he just he's got all the physical tools, he just needs to have some production to back it up.
Yeah.
But all right. So you mentioned Texas over under 9.5. That one's probably, I don't recall, but probably fairly even action on both sides. I looked at the Tennessee one because when you said 9.5, I was like, dang, that sounds high, but it is. I mean, at FanDuel it's 9.5. The under was minus 188, so
more like 9ish. But still
9 would be pretty good still. But But anyway, just want to point that out.
Yeah, fair.
The big mistake that you made. No, you didn't.
Wow.
Sorry, just not putting the juice
No,
on it.
it was factual. It was factual.
It was.
But let us know in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube any coaches, players, teams under pressure that we did not mention. Thank you for checking out this episode of the College Football Bros. We will see you next time.